Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Forest for Growth. My name is Ricardo,
And I'm Courtney. Eh,
and today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to chat about sitting with yourself.
yes.
What does this
We
mean, Courtney? Sitting with yourself. What does this mean? Tell me.
This means chill out. Give yourself time to just be. And this means a lot of things, but we're going to talk about it in the way of using it as a tool that can help and uh, just our personal experience with it. Let me so the most common way is meditating. So what are your go-to practices to sit with yourself, Ricardo?
Meditation is one. But I will say, let's preface this. We're talking about something slightly deeper because I'm a guided meditation type of guy. I'm a Joe Dispenza type of guy, or even just meditation music at the very minimum. But I I tried it. I tried it this morning, and I found it very challenging and very difficult to sit without music, without a guided meditation, in just pure silence. It was rather difficult. And I have to say, and I'll admit, it was a lot more difficult than what I anticipated. I didn't think it was going to be that hard.
Yeah, I agree. I often prime, and from the Tony Robbins world, that's a guided, intentional outcome and exercise. So you can't really call it meditation. You can't call it sitting still because you're creating your day in your head. So that's what I typically do. But yeah, so this all started, give credit where credit's due. So I'm a huge Kyle Cease fan, and he talks about he just sits still for 2 hours every morning. And the joke he tells is, at first it starts out, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. But then you release your small story halfway through, you realize you don't need to be anything. You just are. And then you access greater part of yourself for the day. So that's a great theory. And so I've always wanted to try it. Clearly, there's something in me has stopped me, probably the fear of like what I might discover or learn or actual peace. So I'd never actually tried it. And last night when we were talking about what our topic will be, I threw it out there because I still hadn't tried it. And I was like, well, if Ricardo will do it with me, I know he has different experience meditating, but we're kind of similar in that way that we usually have a tool to help of some kind. And yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
So, what came up for you, Courtney? What came up? Did anything come up for you?
Yeah, I made it probably 58 minutes. I don't think I made it the
Oh,
solid
wow.
hour. And yeah, I actually well, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like open my eyes at all. So I mean, but I did remain sitting for quite a while. But the first at first it was oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this. Like 15, 20 minutes in, a client I haven't talked to in a month, I had this like overwhelming thought, like if I don't get up and call them right now, I'm never going to work with them again. Like it was this urgent, like very
Hold on.
egoic
Hold
thought.
on. Repeat that again. A client you haven't talked to in how long?
A month,
A month.
who basically said like let's hold off a few months and look at it again. So there's no urgency there is my
None.
point. None
Zero.
at all. My egoic brain in that moment is telling me like my job depends on getting up and calling that person.
Yes.
And so I kind of let it play out and I was like, well, if I actually stand up and go and, go into the office and start to call this person, like, I don't know. So then I kind of walk myself through it and it's like, no, it's too early to call somebody. Like all these logical reasons, like, no, this is where the conversation last left off. But my brain wasn't thinking that at all when it's trying to get me scared to sit there. I guess that's my point. It
Ooh.
was these fears that were trying to make me fearful, just not safe to sit there. Thoughts that were trying to make me not safe to sit there, which I know is ego, the whole point of the exercise. And let's see. So about probably halfway through, I did get, and I had some crazy thoughts. Like, I mean, one thought I was like thinking about when I rearranged this one room in the back, and I was like, what if I were to move that dresser and there's like a snake in the room? Like this, like this is just like going, and I'm like sitting there imagining freaking out over the snake in my house. Like, what? Like, Never had that problem in my life. So anyway, it's just these weird, like out of nowhere. But I did towards the end, there's a quote I'm working on that I'm just looking for a solution. I haven't found it yet. And I think I've thought of that solution. So I'm gonna do that when I, here in a little bit when I start my workday. And I think it will work. I think it'll be the solution we're looking for, right? So I did have one kind of gem in there that I was like, okay, okay. So, but it came after like half an hour of what are you doing? Why are you sitting here? You're not supposed to be doing this, blah, 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 all this stuff. So it's powerful. And then the distractions came. And so eventually I gave into the distractions. It's like, okay, you've made it almost an hour.
And that's what Kyle Cease talks about. He talks about that the first 30 minutes, all these thoughts come in and out, all these things bubble up, and all of these things try to distract you and keep you from sitting there. So for me, I was able to sit down for about 20 minutes. And this is funny that Jesse typed this. I actually fell asleep. I fell asleep, but I fell back asleep. Yeah. Yeah. I fell back asleep after sitting there in silence. And again, this was no music, no guided meditation, no nothing. And usually I at least put music on. And for me, I fell asleep. I fell asleep. And it wasn't because there was like thoughts coming up or anything. It was just this is gonna sound funny / tacky / whatever, but it is what it is. I got bored. Because I felt like I didn't have something to send my attention to. If it's a guided meditation, I'm able to send my attention to the person talking. In my case, I'm a big Joe Dispenza fan, so I send my attention to Joe Dispenza. If it's music, I listen to the music and I'm able to send my attention to the music. And in this case, I didn't have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I didn't have nowhere to go. Jesse asked, so is it really sleep or is it deep? No, it was snoozing. I was dreaming.
That was my question.
It was
like,
not.
Is that a bad thing?
It was no deep sleep. It was no deep meditation. I was snoozing. I felt, because you can feel it. You know the difference between sleeping and meditating. You can feel it. It was sleep. I definitely just fell asleep in the middle of this experiment. And yeah, it was interesting to me. It was interesting to me.
Yeah. It was like I knew going into it, I wanted what Kyle C said would happen. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit there. It's gonna be weird. I'm gonna get weird. I'm gonna get like little story on autopilot, for a while, and then I'm gonna kind of break through that and have a real peaceful time. So I don't know. I had too many expectations on it, I guess. And then kind of towards the end, I'm like, here I am with all these like this didn't happen or this did happen or no, that wasn't strong enough. And it's like the whole point is to sit still, So
you can't mess it up.
The ego was always there to tell me what I was not doing right, even though you can't do it wrong.
Correct.
So
you can't mess it up.
That was the most important part of the exercise because the ego will keep talking just to be able to be the one to solve the problem. The ego it's there to test you, to distract you, to remind you of the things you need to break through, So, but it was just hyperactive this morning.
It was a doozy.
Yeah.
It was a doozy, right? Man, I don't know, Courtney. So what's the plan here? Okay, so let me ask you this. What prompted you to try this experiment? Besides us trying to come up with something, this has been going on for a couple of days. What prompted you to do this? Because obviously, just go ahead.
Okay. So I had a very emotional roller coaster week last week. And well, let's be real. I had like an emotional breakdown where the storm that was happening in North Texas, I felt like it was happening in me, and I rode the wave. And Ricardo actually challenged me late last week to chill out and not listen to outside validation or outside advice or outside all kinds of things. And it's a deeper level than like running to your friend and being like, what do you think? Because I'm good at that. I've practiced that for a few years of like not taking here's where I'm at. What should I do? And then thinking it's up to my friend to tell me what to do, or my family, or my. But there's a certain level of like self-soothing that we often lay in somebody else's hands. So if you call a friend to feel better, or if you turn on music to feel better, a lot of these things aren't bad by themselves. But if you don't spend time with yourself and sit with yourself and get comfortable self-soothing, ultimately you're still giving up your power, even though it looks like it's a lot healthier or better of a way to go about it. So that's what prompted it. And so over the weekend, I don't know how to say this. I never stop listening to personal development stuff. I never stop listening. I don't know if it's not, if I don't have an audiobook on or a video of like a program, I have music on. So it's just always something. And I think I've trained my brain to always need something in a way. So it's harder now. How am I trying to say this? It's harder now, years into this personal development journey, to sit still than I think it would have been at other times. But no judgment. I'm just taking inventory of where I'm at and seeing what I need to do. So earlier, let's say, I think it was last Thursday on our morning call, whenever we were talking about this, and Ricardo challenged me right before that. And then we talked about it on the call. And no, I'm sorry. It was whatever. Days don't matter. Anyway. And then we talked about kind of the experience after the weekend, which was powerful. But it came up that a few people in our group are doing the hour of just silence. And like, for example, Camilla does it in the evening. So I was like, wow, I've never thought about that. Doing it in the evening, not in the morning. Okay, I can find. So it's just been on my mind the last few days to work in. And then I'm taking a certain type of energy class right now. Not to get into details on that, but we did some very quick meditative exercises, about 5 of them yesterday, just energy work. But it was kind of a quick, like, they'd teach us something, and then 5 minutes we'd spend meditating using that tool, and then would teach us something. And so I'm sitting there and I was like, I've never tried to sit still. And then I get the text from Ricardo. It's like, you have any ideas for topics tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, we have to sit still. And so it was really like, oh. So it cracked me up this morning. So I set my alarm, 6 a.m. I'm like, I'm going to get up, I'm do this. And sure enough, I slept in another hour. And but I had grace on myself. I was like, hey, you can still get up and do it still. And so I even challenged myself or argued with myself up until literally I only had like time to do it before our live today. So it's like I trap myself in a zone that I have to do it. But that's kind of the mental roller coaster I've been on this last like week or two. And to me, it just gets still. So I know that that works, because when I have gotten still lately in life, I see what path clearly I need to take, or I see the distractions kind of fall away, or the bullshit fall away. And I'm getting in my head again. So I'm going to go back to what I know works and be graceful, take inventory, and try new things. Try until.
I think that's the key. Try until. And I think it's interesting to me that you just want to keep your mind busy. You want to keep your mind distracted from actually sitting with yourself, with the emotion that you may be feeling. Because our go-to is what? You turn on the TV, you go get a drink, you go do this. And all of these things are distractions. Distract the mind, distract the body from the feelings that you're feeling.
And layers of distraction.
Layers of, yes.
Like,
and we don't want to sit with our emotions.
Have you ever played on your phone or been on your phone, but then picked a Netflix something so you can keep playing on your phone? Like, you literally picked background noise while you focused on something else. Have you ever done that?
Oh,
Where you're like
yeah.
still on your phone, but you like pick a movie to play in the back. Like, there are layers of it. So it's just not necessarily wrong. It's just step back, and what are your layers that you've stacked? Or but we just listened to Tony Robbins, comeback challenge yesterday. What have you stacked over and over and over and over? Well, if I stack the comfort of needing that outside comfort, outside soothing, even though it's healthy words, it's healthy. It's the point is just giving yourself time to just be, because the fact is you're enough just as you are. You are magical just as you are. You can embrace gratitude, passion, whatever, just as you are. It's a lie that you need something else in between. And I just got too far from that. So I need to remind myself of that.
Let me put a big old disclaimer here because what you just said was just so rainbows, unicorns, and
Yeah.
fairy dust here. But let me just say, sitting with yourself sucks. Some shit's gonna come up. Stuff is gonna come up. It's gonna come up. But that's the whole point of the exercise, is to face it and deal with it. And get out of looking for those distractions that are gonna keep you from feeling what you feel and experiencing the emotion.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to experience that emotion to get over it.
Mm-hmm. That's the only way.
That's the only way.
They come up to go out. I think, is that how
Oh
Kyle
yeah,
sees
that
it?
is Kyle sees. You're
Yes.
right. You're right.
God,
You're
I
right.
love Kyle sees. Kyle, if you're watching, I love you. Okay, so and I finally, it only took like years of being your fan to like try the meditation. Okay, but yeah, it comes up to leave,
Correct. Instead
but
of
you
looking for the
hold it down.
distraction, correct.
Yeah.
When we're looking for these distractions, we push it back down. We don't want to acknowledge it. We think that we feel shame
Mm-hmm.
for feeling this. I'm guilty of that. I don't want to feel what I feel because I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that. I shouldn't be feeling that either. Why do I feel this? Why do I feel that? And then I just go find something to distract myself with, right?
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting with it and journaling it, a journal, get it out. Sitting with yourself, get it out. Allowing yourself to experience it, get it out.
Mm-hmm.
But don't live in it.
Yeah.
There's a
Let it
whole difference
out.
between getting it out, letting it go, and living in that emotion, feeling, thought, belief.
Yeah.
We can't live there, but we can allow ourselves to experience it and feel it in real time and let it flow.
Mm-hmm.
Let it out.
And then all that's cleared for you to level up. And let's be honest, all that's cleared for another level of shit to come up next month or next year or next whatever, because you're growing. So it's expanding. It's more just going to come out. But that's the point, is allow it, release it, learn the lesson so you don't have to go through it again. But yeah, it's coming up for a reason.
Here's the thing: if this cup was full of water or Kool-Aid or whatever it is that you want to put in it, is there room for any more?
Nope.
So if this cup was full of the BS that you're trying to get over, and here's the thing, the cup is unlimited BS. Like, you can put so much BS in here, right? But you have to get rid of some stuff. You have to pour some stuff out in order to make room for some better stuff. You have to deal with the BS, the limiting beliefs, the negative emotions that you're experiencing and feeling on a daily, consistent basis in order to make room for the unicorns, fairy tales, and rainbows.
I love you guys. Yes.
Right? You have to make room. You have to let it go. You have to pour it out. You have to experience it.
So it
You
doesn't
can't be running from it.
become our emotional home. Like, it will become our emotional home. Credit to Tony Robbins for that point.
Correct.
Reminded us all of that yesterday. It's it's all the little moments stacked. Everything is all those little moments stacked. So if you just stack the frustration, the anger, and just keep the cup, it'll always accept more bullshit. But the problem is you're stacking a life you don't want.
Correct. So you have to pour it out.
Release it. It's a time and space. We've talked about time and space before. You
Release
gotta
it. let it
Give
go.
yourself time to just be and give yourself space to just be instead of making yourself smaller to fit into these boxes over here that you think you need to live within.
Hmm. And that's one of the other things that we see a lot is you run to self-development to look for a reason. You get this. You look for the reason why the cup is full.
Mm.
And that's all we're doing. Sometimes all we do is look for the reason that the cup is full, but never really truly take the time to pour it out.
Yeah.
We don't care why the cup is full. We don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Get to the point to where you can empty the freaking cup.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to
That's the
do.
lesson.
We want to empty the freaking cup.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Courtney?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh man. Final thoughts, Courtney. Oh, real quick. Jesse says, let it go. Courtney's favorite.
Earlier I was thinking, let it go. There's an allowing in there. So that term, let it go, you have to allow it to go. And I know this sounds so simple, but are you allowing it to go? Like, I mean, I think Kyle Cease tells the joke about what if you went to the bathroom and like, oh no, and then like was like, how did that, and grabbed onto it. No, like we don't do that in our life. Like, why do we do that emotionally? Are you kidding me? But instead, just
That is, hold on. Say that again a little bit slower. So Kyle C says about going to the bathroom.
what if you went to the bathroom and then as you were like looking down, you're like, oh no, that came out of me, and you grab it and keep it to like solve the problem. And yeah.
What's the sign for?
Yeah. So that's actually what we're doing when you have a breakthrough or a great talk of releasing emotions, or I don't know, something like that, and then you hold on to it. Or Ricardo's gotten on to me and has really helped recondition this in me. You solve the problem, you have the breakthrough, and then you call 10 people to tell them the story again.
No.
That's stacking what you don't want.
You got to let it go.
Law of attraction, what you don't want. That's priming yourself to look for what you don't want. There's all kinds of different ways to say it. But so part of let it go is stop repeating yourself.
Yes.
I say that with love, and I'm preaching to the choir because I'm
real quick. Our friend Tamara.
Yes.
God will put things just out of reach. The simple solution is to let go of what we are holding on to, and then we can reach new things.
Yes. And great shout out to Tamara because she helped me let some stuff go yesterday. And
mic drop on Tamara. Mic drop. Boom.
Yeah.
Let's see. Every time you retell the story, you are putting yourself in that emotional space again.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want.
And you don't, scientifically speaking, you don't remember things the exact same way every time. So if you're retelling the story, you're actually putting yourself back in there, but you're putting more focus on probably the negative sides. Like you're probably not focusing on the good parts of the story. So you're putting more emphasis every single time you tell it on the negative sides. And if you compared the first time you told that story or just heard it in your brain or were there versus the 20th time you retell it to somebody because you're getting real theatrical with it, you're telling two different stories, like two different, totally different scenarios. So just know that when you emphasize and emphasize and emphasize and retell and retell and retell, like you're making shit up.
Remember the telephone game.
Yeah.
The story that the 10th person got is totally different from the story that the first person got.
Yeah. And so knowing you can do that in your brain to yourself, just be aware.
And we know that in neuroscience that every time that you retell the story and you refeel the emotions, that your body and your brain don't know the difference between the event actually happening or you just retelling that story. So you're literally creating these emotions and feelings in your body and your mind every single time you tell that story with passion and give that story the focus.
Yeah. And that's also how you will solve it because your brain doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't know the difference. So if you can envision it going better in the future or envision the goal being achieved in the future, et cetera, that's also the exact science as to why visualization works. So you can use it in the negative way, like worry and just recreate and refocus on what you hate about your past, or you can visualize. Great. So it's really up to us in the moment, but we can't even start if we can't like truly understand what we're feeling.
And
Not
that's sitting with yourself.
mm-hmm. Yes.
Understanding what you're feeling, sitting with yourself. Man, it sounds scary though, doesn't it?
It does. I know. I don't know if I'm more excited or scared to try again tomorrow, but hey, that's okay.
So are you
I'm
going to try it
sure.
again tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
I
going to try it
I
again
want to
tomorrow
have the
too.
breakthrough. Like I want to have that magical like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's not really words for it, but I know something's there for me. So I'm going to trust it and I'm going to keep trying.
And it might not come tomorrow.
Yeah. Screw expectations.
Yep.
Today I decided no more expectations. I'm meditating because like the answers in the problem. One time I went to Sandy Anthony all like, I need to know how to meditate. And I was so worked up. And she was like, okay, one, chill out. Two, you can't do it wrong. So just like erase all that you just said. And I was like, oh. So there's no
magic
meant to
formula.
be way. Just sit. Just sit.
Oh,
And
here we go. Jesse.
oh, yes.
Why wait till tomorrow? Why not tonight?
I will. Thank you, Jesse. Yes.
All right. Oh, this was a good conversation, Courtney. I enjoyed this conversation and I enjoy hearing. I enjoy it when we're authentic and we're always as authentic as we can be. We're talking about this stuff in real time. This literally happened this morning. We're talking about these processes in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I appreciate.
Yes.
That we're able to talk about this in real time, not 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't want to wait 6 months. I want to grow now. Like if I wait 6 months to do it, I'll barely move on the scale 6 months from now, you know? But if you can do it like exactly what Jesse just said, like, why not do it tonight? Okay. And then that way tomorrow morning's meditation might be more impactful, you know?
Oh, it will be. There's no might about
because
it.
it'll be like the third round versus the second round. So
Correct.
it's just
correct. Yeah. The more you do it, the more powerful it will get. And those meditations, like you said earlier, will stack on each other and it'll get easier. And that waiver time of, ooh, I got to call that client that I haven't talked to in 3 months. Thoughts will get lesser and lesser, and you'll be able to get to that state faster and faster.
Yeah.
That's my personal experience of just meditating in general, not necessarily sitting in silence.
Yeah. I will say 2 things on meditating while we're on it. Being relaxed is a superpower. So the more time you meditate or just practice being in a peaceful, you activate your superpower more. So it'll be easier to just flip back into relaxing. So, and then the other thing to draw more women, especially to meditate, is research how anti-aging meditation is. Really, really. If you have no other motivation that gets your butt on, you know, the pillow in the morning or whatever, just it's anti-aging. So it literally like pauses time in your body. So it's so many other benefits versus, you know, what we're touching on, but that's our goal is to see yourself when you sit down.
Good
Hear
job.
yourself, look at yourself. So
anyway. That's a wrap, Courtney. That was that's like, you know, final thoughts, Courtney. There you go.
So I will keep y'all updated how my experiment goes. And thank you, Ricardo, for participating with me.
I will try it again, but it is a muscle. It is a muscle. And I got to keep reminding myself that it is a muscle to sit there with nothing, without doing anything, without just sitting there, no music, no guided meditation, to just sit there.
Yeah.
Ooh, Rebecca Baker says, truly, it's anti-aging and super sexy. Yeah, you know what? Why can't we, you know, reframe meditation as being super sexy? Ooh, you meditate. Ooh, that's super sexy.
Exactly. You guys, you can meditate on being super sexy.
Ooh,
the possibilities are endless.
Oh man! All right, I think that's a wrap, Courtney. Make sure
Thank
you
you for watching,
subscribe
guys.
make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You can visit forestforgrowth.com to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify Music, and all of your favorite podcast channels. Also visit our YouTube channel and like and subscribe.
Yes.
And we'll be back on Wednesday.
Friday.
Friday. Today is Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday with a special guest interview. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.